So you've had your food and chemical sensitivities tested using the Oxford MRT technology. What do you do with it? Well, you've got a booklet like this, right? It's called the LEAP Guide, stands for Lifestyle Eating and Performance. There's a lot of great information here. I will direct you through it just a little bit, but you can read through it. It's pretty awesome. But I've given you also a one-page simple handout. So it'll look like this. I'll put a title on the top of it, but that's the way it starts. And this walks you through the really quick, easy steps, but also helps you to reference where in the booklet you can go for more information. Great place to start. First thing we're going to do is talk about the differences. So you're testing your food sensitivities. I put this in quote in here. There's allergy sensitivities and intolerances. What's the difference? Don't I know my allergies? Don't I know what bothers my stomach? Why do I do this test? So for people who may not have taken it yet, this is a good place to start this information. What is an allergy? Classic IgE allergies. IgE stands for immunoglobulin E. Your classic typical allergies. These are immune responses, and they're usually immediate, meaning they happen right away with minutes. It's usually hours is unlikely, but it could be, it gets worse and worse over time, but usually within minutes. Common symptoms are itching and runny nose or runny eyes, things like that, maybe hives. Your classic allergies. And you typically know what these are. Severe cases can become anaphylaxis, anaphylactic reaction, where you get swelling of the tongue or the throat. You may need an EpiPen. You know what these are, certainly if you get to that stage. The next is intolerances. Intolerance is a digestive issue that comes from a food intolerance. So what is that? Typically, we're looking at lactose, like the sugar in milk, or fructose. It's the sugar in fruit, but it's actually more common sugar in processed foods, the high fructose corn syrup, right? But it may include fiber. For people who have very damaged intestines, they have difficulty digesting fiber, so you may have something raw, like raw vegetables or even spinach. Like, I can't eat it unless I cook it. And cook it, I'm fine. That breaks down the fiber, and that's one way you know you may have an intolerance to eating carbohydrates, complex carbohydrates. And then next, so what kind of symptoms they cause? Bloating, gas, intestinal pain, maybe diarrhea. And it does not involve the immune system. This is not an immune reaction. The worst it's going to get is whatever it causes in your digestive system. That's it. Our next one is sensitivities. This is what we're testing with the Oxford MRT test. It's a non-IgE, so non-classic allergy, immune response. It can involve several different immunoglobulins or immune complexes or cell-mediated responses. And it may take 12 hours, 24 hours, or maybe even more to react. So it's really difficult. What did I eat that caused that reaction? It's like, it could have been days ago. You don't even know. It causes all sorts of symptoms. It can migrate to different areas of your body where the immune response is: joints, muscles, nerves, or even body-wide inflammation and irritation. And it may progress to autoimmunity. So we see this with celiac disease. We see this with thyroid autoimmunity, which is Hashimoto's. We see it with neuropathy in the feet, all over, right? Rheumatoid arthritis, all these things, psoriasis, are often triggered. They're not necessarily entirely caused by these sensitivities, but they're worsened by these sensitivities in many cases. What are the key concepts? To summarize it, allergies are immediate IgE immune responses that you likely know. Intolerances arise from difficulty digesting because of a lack of enzymes to digest them, and it usually leads to gastrointestinal discomfort. And sensitivities are delayed immune responses that you likely do not know, and they can cause symptoms throughout the body of various kinds. What are the steps to success once we got the results from our MRT? I'm just going to walk you through this handout point by point, so when you get this, you can look back at it. First, identify your sensitivities. We did that by measuring how strongly your immune cells react to specific foods and food chemicals. Step number 2, eat food you know you have eat foods, says foot, that we know you have low reactivity to. Why would you eat foods you have reactivity to? The ones that we know you have. So we tested them. Things we didn't test, we don't really know if you react high or low. So ones that we know you react very low to, that's the ones you start with. They're marked in green on a results sheet. And we make this even simpler. You don't have to look through all these, but when you're looking through them, you can see the ones that are in green, and then there's some in yellow, and there's some even in red. So this is the chemicals. These are ones you may not know even what they are, but we'll tell you how to find out what they are and where they are. Do not ingest foods, at least at first, that you know you're allergic to or you're intolerant to. Right? We talked about allergies like, oh, when I eat strawberries, I get hives, but it looked like it was fine on the test. We didn't test for allergies. We tested for sensitivities. We didn't test for intolerances. So if you know lactose makes you all bloated, gassy, and pain, just because it didn't show up on the test as a problem doesn't mean it's not a problem. Right? So things you know are a problem, don't eat them. And sometimes even things in combination can be a problem that may not show up on the test. So you may have tested one thing individually, another thing individually. That's how we did this. We pulled your blood, and then they exposed your blood to separate constituents of these 130 or so foods and chemicals. And if your blood reacted to them, then that's the way we know you have a problem with them. But how do we know? So maybe you didn't react to dairy, and you didn't react to, let's say, milk and cheese, so two different dairy things. But you know, like, well, gosh, when I have a glass of milk and cheese toast, or milk and cheese, something like that, then I do have a reaction to it. I know there's a problem. Well, don't eat that, right? Sometimes things in combination will react. Or let's say something more complex, like bread and cheese. Like, hey, bread and cheese or wheat and cheese both showed up as fine, but when I eat cheese toast, I have a problem. Like, well, maybe that combination causes a problem in you. So if you know you have a problem, don't eat it. Number 3, avoid items marked in yellow or red. That's pretty simple. Yellow ones for 3 months, red ones for 6 months. I know that's a long time. There can be this mourning process as you go, really? I can't have that food that I love so much that I eat all the time? Yeah, because every time you eat it, it's causing an inflammatory, irritating immune response in your body every time. And it was like, well, I don't notice it. Remember, it's 12 or 24 or more hours. And if you have it all the time, you probably have this baseline inflammatory state that doesn't necessarily spike. It never goes down. And that's why your body, and it may start to trigger autoimmune responses. So yes, I'm sorry, you have to avoid it. And it's best to eat pure foods so that you, for a while anyway, so that you know exactly what you're eating and you don't get these other things you don't know if you react to or not. All right, so now we're down here at our key points. If you do the diet well, this LEAP diet, you will see results in 2 to 4 weeks. You're going to see some improvements. The diet is temporary in most cases. We're going to gradually introduce foods, and then we're going to not have to worry about them if you don't react to them. You can heal from many of these reactions, these sensitivities. Inflammation is a source of body pain, nerve degeneration, regression of all sorts, immune regression, but also neurological regression. We see this with kids, and slow nervous system development. The intent is to decrease the inflammatory load quickly. When we eliminate these foods, we decrease it quickly. There's other ways to do it. As you heal your gut, then you become less reactive. You can do that eventually, but if you decrease these, this is why we do the test, so you can make some changes quickly. Also to repair your immune response and reduce body pain, nerve degeneration, reduce regression, and reduce slow nervous system development. So we allow all those things to start happening the way they're supposed to. All right, so now we turn the page over to the back side. Got a little sticker off, it's still not needed. The LEAP Immunocalm Dietary Program. So in your booklet, there is something like this. It generates the maximum benefits by personalizing your reintroduction schedule by introducing the least immunoinflammatory foods first. We talked about that. The green ones and even the low-reacting green ones come in first, giving your body the best chance to rest and regenerate. Phase 1, which is on page 3 in your booklet. All right, I won't flip there, but it's on page 3. Eat any foods for a week or less if you start feeling better. So phase 1. Where's phase 1? It's simple. It's on this page for you here. Okay, phase 1. Any of these foods. There's 2 pages of this. There's also a different. We'll come into that one in a minute. But right now we're just on page 1. Phase 1. Eat these for a week or less. If you start feeling better, it's like, man, I'm feeling awesome already. Then you can, at 3 or 4 days, you could say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and go into phase 2. Phase 2 through 5. That takes us through the rest of these. And it's on page 4 in your LEAP booklet. Eat from phase 1, but add only 1 food in total from any category per day. Any category of phase 2. So now we're at phase 2 is eat anything from here that you did fine with, and I'm sure you're fine with all these, unless you know you have an allergy or intolerance. Now you start eating phase 2, one of these at a time, any of these, right? Any and all of these. Then you introduce one of these, and then they introduce one of these. So how does that look? Phase 2, protein or starch or vegetable. Okay, so the first one is protein and starch and vegetable. So you introduce one. You do not have to introduce all foods in a phase before continuing on to the next once the week is up. And then you do introduce one of these per day. All right, so let's say it's a Monday. You introduce pinto beans. And then Tuesday, you introduce sweet potatoes. You're like, oh, you have a reaction. What do? Write it down. There's a place in your booklet. I'll pull this out for you. It's food symptom diary. You can write it in there. Write your food. Write your reaction. So you remember that. It's like, I'm not sure if I reacted to it or not. Write it down. Write what you think your reaction was. And you reintroduce it again later, see if you have that same reaction. If you do, then you know it's a problem. If you don't, then maybe you healed from it, or maybe it was just some fluke and it wasn't really a reaction. Now, when you're deciding where these foods are, you don't have to really worry about this. So this is the simple thing. Just eat by this. You can have salt or spices that happen to be on here. You're going to eat really simple at first. And that's the way you keep this really easy and really clear. It's difficult to understand, but as you add more and more foods, then you can mix things in a variety of ways. It's really becomes much easier. And then we'll get to if you start to introduce other foods, or you're not sure, let's say, gosh, I'm going somewhere, I'm at a restaurant, and there's a section in the booklet about eating restaurants. But you also have this card. And this card gives you your red reactions, 6 months, and the yellow ones, 3 months. It's going to be different for you. Everyone has their own personalized one. Depends on what your results showed. And when you do this tells you where these, what the foods or food chemicals are. And if you need to know, oh, I don't know even what that chemical is, I don't know where it would be, that's when you look up in the booklet and it tells you. So on this page, we've got chemical sources on page 18, food alternatives, page 26, eating to live. This is great information, good tips on dealing with your diet change. That's on page 5 and 24 through 45. It's all listed on your paper. How to maintain the improvements. So you got all this work and now want to maintain it. How do you do that? Address your gut health problems. So hopefully we're already doing that, but addressing these food sensitivities is a good step toward that. Maybe there's a bacteria overgrowth, yeast overgrowth, malabsorption or leaky gut issue. Hopefully we're already addressing that. And then, so we made it through all phase 5. It's going to take a number of weeks. There's week 1, 2, 3, 4, right, listed up there. So we finished all phases and all those 5 weeks. Now we go to week 6. Where's week 6? Or phase 6. Next page. So this is phase 6, a 3-day reintroduction program, 3-day rotation program. You don't have to do this perfectly, but this keeps you from reactivating certain food sensitivities by not eating the food every day. And that's the biggest key, is just don't eat those foods you are reactive to, or even the green ones that showed some reactivity. Don't eat them every day, and then you're less likely to develop that sensitivity. That becomes less of an issue the more healthy your gut is, but this is an ideal way to keep that from happening, or limit the probability of it happening. And then, yeah, but at least don't eat a food every day. Just take some breaks from it. So phase 6, this is this one. After all minimally reactive foods have been introduced, don't eat a food every day. Continue eating from phases 1 through 5, which we had on this front page. Okay. Now here's the biggie. Gradually introduce foods not tested as necessary. These may be immunoreactive, even severely. Not the ones you know you're reactive to yet, but you can start reintroducing other foods that you don't know if you're active to or not. So let's say a food's not tested on here, like, wow, I really like this weird fruit from New Guinea, and it wasn't on the list. Well, this would be the time, after those 5 weeks of eating just your low reactive foods, this would be the time to introduce an unknown food that you really want. You introduce it one day. You may have it for a few days, see if you react. If you don't, then you should be good to go. If you do react, put it on your list, in your diary, and then you know. When do I reintroduce my foods? Your yellows at 3 months after you've done this. So you're eating from column 1 through 5 for 3 months. And then you can start to reintroduce your yellow foods. Those are the ones on here. And for more details on these, especially the chemicals, you go to page 18, you can look up the chemicals and see, where are these things? What are these things? And then at 6 months, you start to reintroduce the red ones, and you see if you react. If you do react, you're probably never going to be able to have that food, but you might be able to just write it on your diary, and you can reintroduce it again some other time. All right, hope that makes sense. Some great resources in your booklet. Take advantage of them. We'll sit down together and talk through this a little more so we can answer any questions you may have. All right, have a wonderful day, and may God bless you. And if you're in the room with us, then you can come out and get us to let us know your video's done. All right.